Hi, I'm Annie. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about sugar beet. Last year I planted it for the first time with the intentions of making sugar, but I very quickly realised it was such a universal plant, it became my most favourite plant on the allotment. It grows really easily. The bugs don't really bother it too much. And the whole plant is edible. I have included 5 quick demos on sort of things you can do with it, which includes making sugar, sugar syrup, pickles, flowers, and eating the greens. But you can also add it to dishes as a natural sweetener. You can roast it in with other root vegetables and make jams and jellies as well. The other nice thing about it is you don't actually, to preserve it, you don't actually need to do anything with it. It will just store as a normal root vegetable in a cold cellar or somewhere like that.
I'm going to process these sugar beets early. These are the damaged ones that I've pulled, so give them a good wash first. Chop them up smaller and then get the skins off. Grated it all up and then I put it in this bag and squeezed out as much of the moisture as I could to reduce the drying time. And then you just put it straight in the dehydrator on either silicone mats, or I've got greaseproof paper. This is the raw sugar beet. It was white when it went in. As it's drying, it's beginning to go white. I'm just going to move it around a little bit. Straight in the dehydrator, set at 55 degrees, and that should take about 4 hours. So this isn't wasted now. When I have room in the dehydrator, I'm going to dehydrate it down. You can use it as flour. I believe it's not as good a flour as doing it just from raw, but hopefully it will keep its colour a bit nicer. It does say with the raw stuff that you can do it outside. Either you could do it in the greenhouse, I suppose. If the weather was nice, you do it straight outside. It would take 2 or 3 days in the hot sun. But I have noticed that even in my dehydrator, within a short space of time, it has changed colour on the outside. It has gone quite dark. So I'm back trying to make my sugar beet flour. I've had a few issues, as in I dried it all nicely, that one and the one that was cooked, and it was all crispy. I didn't have time to process it, so I thought I'd put it in a jar, just leave it in the window just in case it wasn't quite dry. But when I came to it the next day, it'd all gone soft again, so it must have just pulled in moisture from the atmosphere. So I'm going to try and grind this down in my blender. The grinder that I used for some of my other flours broke. I bought it off of Amazon. It didn't even last the month, I think. So I've sent that back, got a full refund obviously, and I am waiting for an electric one to come because it was also quite difficult to use. But I wanted something really that I could use off grid, but then I've got one that's sort of a low enough power that will run off of my EcoFlow system. I did have to put it back in the dehydrator for about an hour and a half just to get it back to really crispy again. I'm going to try and process it in here. If not, I'll have to wait for the new grinder to come. But I will put it in a jar and definitely put the moisture absorbers in with it too. So anyway, let's try and get some of this in here and see how we get on. Right, just going to put that little bit in. I've lost the little bit on the top, so I'll put a plate on. So I could now sift this through but I'm not going to do that because I've not long used the sift for straining through the honey lemon. So I will just put this in a jar as it is, but I don't know if you can see that. I mean, it's obviously a grey colour, but it is quite a nice fine powder, and obviously will go down more again if I kept going with that, but I will just wait until I get the grinder so I can grind it down really small. That's nice actually. Yeah, it's really quite nice. And then I shall move on to this one, which is the byproduct of the sugar. We'll see. I'm just going to put half in for now. I'm not bothering cleaning out this because it will get wet and then I'm going to use it. Because I'm actually going, because there's so little of this, I'm actually just going to mix it in with that anyway. But it's really nice to know that that first lot does actually go down to a flour. I think it's such a nice flavour that it'd be really nice in with the dock seeds. So if you did half and half of those, I think that'd make a nice recipe. So it's obviously a much better colour for starters. It's going to take a lot more grinding down, I would say, but like I say, once I've got the right equipment, I think, well, I know both of these are going to go down to a fine powder, because there's obviously fine powder in here already.
I've got my new grinder that I ordered off of Amazon because the last one broke, so I'm going to try it out today and blend down some of the powders into flours that I've been making. I'm going to grind down the sugar beet into flour. I put it in this jar about 5 days ago, waiting for this to come. When I did it before, obviously it all went sticky, but putting the oxygen absorbers and moisture absorbers in, it's absolutely fine. That's a full minute, so I will see what that's like. I'm just going to let the dust settle, as they say. That is a lovely fine powder or flour. That is a lovely fine flour. Now I'm going to leave it to cool before I put it back in the jar. Again, is I've peeled it all and sliced it. You want just enough water to cover the sugar beet, bring it to the boil, turn it down to simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes until it is completely soft. That will extract the sugar, and then we're going to strain out the actual sugar beet, getting out as much of the water as possible, and then we will reduce it down to a syrup, and then hopefully on a bit more to make some sugar. So as it's coming up to the boil, it's beginning to get a bit of foam on the top, so I'm just going to skim that off. I don't know if you're supposed to or not, but I was always taught that this is the impurities coming out, so I'm just going to do that. That's ticking away quite nicely. It smells lovely in my kitchen this morning, really sweet.
not quite ready. Probably going to give that another 10 minutes. Might leave the lid off actually, and then it can start reducing down anyway, because that's what we want. We want it all to evaporate down to a syrup in the end, so I'll just leave the lid off now. It's been cooking for about 30 minutes. It's gone very translucent now, and when I push the knife it cuts very easily through. So I'm going to strain it through and collect the water in the pot below. I do want to squash out as much of the liquid out of the sugar beet as possible, so I'm going to give it a quick squeeze. Might even use the masher, it might be a bit easier. There's quite a bit more moisture in there, but obviously it's too hot to handle, so I'm just going to lay it out on the tray just so it cools off a bit quicker, so that I can put it in the bag in a minute and squeeze it out. I'm going to return this to the pot, turn it on full and start reducing it. So this is cool enough to handle now, so I'm just going to put it in the bag and we're going to give it a good squeeze out. Got near enough full bowl out of that, so I'm going to add that back into the pan. So we're at about 35 minutes, it's gone down a lot, but we're going to keep going. Take a bit more of this foam off the top. It's beginning to feel like it's got a different consistency. Also when I'm stirring it I can hear it coming off the bottom of the pan as if it's trying to stick. So we've got it right down to a syrupy consistency. I think that's done. I've been taking off the bubbles and stuff as I've gone, so I'm going to put that in one tray or that tray and put that in that tray and see what the difference is after a few days, see if that does granulate and see what it's like. Because I wouldn't want to be chucking that away if it's actually good. So you can see that's like, it's got obviously a bit of liquid underneath. But yeah, that's beginning to granulate in the bottom as it's cooling, I think. So I'm going to get that in there. This was just one small medium sugar beet. This is proper sticking already to the bottom of the pan. So Hopefully that's a good sign. And this other stuff. So that's my two sugar beets. I'm just going to put a little bit on the top of both. I think that will be fine, just to maybe give it a head start. So yeah, now I'm going to put it in a cool place. So this is the sugar beet, hopefully sugar. You can see this is day 4. It is really beginning to granulate where it's thin. The rest of it is obviously still runny. It ran to one corner because obviously it's not quite straight, but it is beginning to thicken up under there. So I shall get that to run back evenly. This little one with all the foam is still quite runny, but I'm not sure if that's because it is thicker or whether it's just not going to do anything.
This is 4 weeks on. Last year's didn't come out well, or the stuff I made at the beginning of this year. I wasn't sure if I'd burnt it or something in the process. I didn't think I had, but as it turns out, I had got to this stage. I was expecting it to granulate in the pan, but it didn't. Thought I'd failed it. And I didn't really like the flavour of it condensed down either. So I did get rid of that and had another bash this year. So I don't know if you can see it. It's a lot stickier than what it was, and it has got some quite big granules in the bottom. But the big granules are quite sweet, which is quite surprising. I wasn't expecting that, because when it went in, it had like a beefy sweet flavour. Whereas, like I say, if I pick a couple of these granules out, they really are very sweet. So I am going to put this just back in the back in the storeroom. And if it all granulates, I'll do a short and show you and tell you how long it has taken. I really wanted to get this video out because I could be waiting forever on this one.
For this next batch, I've cubed it up quite small, and I'm just going to cook it until it's really, really tender. I'm doing it this way rather than slicing it up because I'm going to be pickling this. One thing I learnt last year, served really well, and it was so tasty. So I'm doing another batch this year. I'm just going to do my pickling vinegar. I need quite a big mix this time, so 4 pints of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of pickling salt. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of pickling spices. It's got bay leaves and things in it. I'm going to put a teaspoon in each jar as well. The other ingredient I've got is I had some leftover vinegar from some pickled beetroots. So I'm going to add that. A little wash out. And that will give our sugar beet a really nice pink colour. I do like a sweet vinegar, so I've added 12 tablespoons of sugar. The sugar beet has been simmering away for about 45 minutes. It's not quite ready yet. We'll say another 5 minutes and we're going to be ready. So I've got the vinegar heating up. I've also got my jars in the canner just to warm through. I'm not going to water bathe or anything, but I do need the jars to be warm because of everything else being hot, and we don't want the old thermal shock. Obviously I've added a little bit of beetroot colouring from some pickled beetroot that I had. You don't have to do that. Last year, this is my last jar of pickled sugar beet from last year. I just added some peppers and stuff into it to add a bit of interest. The only problem with the sugar beet is it's so nice and so moreish. I end up eating loads before I do anything with it. Oh, it's just delicious. I really like this vegetable. I am going to be just pressure canning some this year so that I can have it as a roast vegetable or even add to soups if I wanted to. When the sugar beet is ready, I just strained it out and I added my liquid that you saw, and that's what it looks like, so pretty. And I shall just leave it on the side to cool down on its own. So I've got my hot liquid here. I'm carefully going to run it through a bag to filter it out. Sorry guys, had mic problem again. So when the sugar beet water came to the right consistency and flavour that I liked, I turned it off. I've added some citric acid to it, just put it straight in, a ratio of 1 level teaspoon to every half a cup of sugar beet water. And then I have put it in my jars, and now I've put it into water basically.
So the sugar beets are looking mighty fine. They'll be coming in soon, but I'm going to harvest a load of the greens today for the freezer. They're from the sugar beet is from the chard family, and the leaves are totally edible, just like cabbage. Like I've said many times, the sugar beet's such a universal plant, but it's a good way to have greens through the summer. You can just take off like a few leaves at a time and have them when you want to eat them. But because they'll be coming in soon, I want to get some in the freezer. I've got some chard there as well, which I will have some of that as well and cook it all in together.
So I picked a big bucket of chard and sugar beet leaves. I'm just going to wash it, chop it, and then cook it. I've put some salt in some water, bringing that up to the boil. When it comes to the boil, put the leaves straight in and cook it for 5 or 6 minutes until it's tender, and then I shall strain it and cool it straight down with cold water. That will stop the cooking process, keep the colour. I'm going to pre-portion it so that I can just take it out and zing it in the microwave when I want it. So that's all ready to go into the freezer now. It's cooked. I had a little bit left over, so I have put it on top of a cauliflower cheese pasta bake.
Well, that's the end of another video. Thank you to everybody who has continued to watch and support the channel. It's been really amazing. I do like making the videos because it makes me learn more, and I do retain the information more than if I'd just done it for my own purposes. If I can share my experiences along the way and help somebody else who's doing it. They are a specialist seed and you will need to order them online, but well worth it. And I hope you give it a go. Till next time, bye.